Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video, we're going to make this. We're going to make Old Glory, the old red, white, and blue. We're going to make the American flag. But we are going to create the American flag using Python turtle code, right? So let's break this down. Let's talk about exactly what we need to do. First step would be to create the stripes. So we have 13 stripes of alternating red and white. We have 7 red stripes and 6 white stripes. So if we think about how would we create these, well, what we could do is we could just leave the background white. So we don't actually have to create a white background or create the white stripes. What we can do is we can create the red stripes, okay, and just repeat. So I guess the first goal would be to get one red stripe on the screen and then repeat it a bunch of times so that it fills in the entire screen. Okay, well, let's start. Let's get to it. Let's do it. All right, so first thing I want to do, obviously, just like any other turtle project, is we're going to import turtle. Then let's set up a screen. So we'll say s equals turtle.screen. Oh, and it needs to be capital S. Don't forget that. And let's set up our screen for a certain size. Let's take a look here. Hold on. Let's see. So if we look, this screen or this flag here is 800 by 421 pixels, meaning it is twice as wide as it is tall. So let's keep that same idea. Just to make the math easy, I'm going to make it 1,000 by 500 because we're going to have to do a bunch of math to figure out exactly where we want everything to be placed in our scene. So we'll set up our screen that way. And if we take a look, we have a nice 1,000 by 500. That's the perfect shape for our American flag. Great. All right, now let's create our turtle. Now the nice thing is we're just going to use one turtle to draw everything on this screen. So yeah, let's just create one turtle and we'll set some properties for it to begin with. So t equals turtle dot turtle. All right. And then we want our speed to be 0. And let's go ahead and pick our pen up. And we're just going to keep our pen up the whole time. We don't actually need to put the pen down because we're not really going to be drawing with the pen. We're just going to be filling in shapes. Okay, so let's talk about what we want to do first. First, let's get this first red stripe going. Now, I could start drawing the red stripe right here and make it exactly where I want, or I could just draw a red stripe across the entire thing and then draw the blue field on top of that, and then draw the stars on top of the blue field. So that's what I'm going to do, especially because if I just draw one stripe, then I can use a loop to loop through the rest of it and create the rest of the stripes. Okay, so I am going to draw the stripes all in one function. Okay, so let's define a new function called stripes. Perfect. Now the first thing I want to do is set the color, so t.color. Now I want a red stripe, but the problem is this is not exactly red. It looks red, but it's not really red. It's kind of a darker red than just pure red. So we're going to use a different color. We're going to use a hex value for the actual color of the American flag. So the hex value for this color is BC 0B 3C. That's the actual color of the stripes on the American flag. Okay, perfect. Now I want to start in the top left corner because I'm going to draw my first stripe. So I'm going to go to t.goto. And let's see, my screen is 1,000 pixels. And I'm starting in the middle, so I need to go to the left, so it's going to be a negative number. And I want to go all the way to the edge, so it's going to be negative 500. Because starting in the middle, going all the way to the left, that's 500 pixels. So negative 500 on the X, and I'm going from the middle up to the top, so we're going in a positive direction, and half of 500 is 250, So we'll go to 250 on the Y. So that'll put us in the top left corner of the screen. Beautiful. Now what I can do is let's begin my fill, and then let's draw a shape. So to draw a square, I'm going to use a for loop because I don't want to repeat a bunch of codes. So for I in range, and I'll say 2. Let's go forward. And I want to go the entire width of the screen, so it'll be 1,000. Then I want to turn to the right by 90 degrees. Oh, and then I need to go down. Now, let's figure out how far I want to go down. So if we take a look at our flag, so imagine what we've done with these two lines is we've gone forward 1,000, we've turned 90 degrees. So now our turtle is facing down. So we have to figure out how far do we go down to make this stripe the exact distance we want. Well, luckily it's pretty easy to figure all of that out. All we have to do is take our total height and divide it by 13, because we have 13 stripes. So our total height is 500. We'll divide that by 13. Now we get this weird, not super great, not whole number, but we can just round down and it should be pretty close. Because if we're talking 0.4, we're talking, you know, not very, that's within 1 pixel, so it's going to be not even noticeable. So let's round down to 38. So I will go t dot forward 38. And then I want to turn right again, so we're facing the other direction. Let me bring this up. I want to turn right again so that we're facing to the left, because the next part of my loop is going to go forward 1,000, turn right, go up 38, and then turn right again. So that we'll end up in the exact same place facing to the right. That's kind of what I'm looking for. So t dot right, 90. Perfect. And then I need to end my fill. T dot end fill. Now the reason why I'm ending the fill outside of the loop is because I don't want to end my fill at the end of this loop. If I do, I'll get a triangle instead of an actual stripe. So if you end up getting a triangle, one long triangle, it's because you put your loop or your end fill inside your loop. We don't want that. We want it outside of the loop. So let's run it and see what happens. Nothing. Oh no. What did I do wrong? Oh my gosh. We're almost 8 minutes into the video and I've made a mistake. Well, here's what I did. I created a function called stripes, but I didn't actually call the function called stripes. So I haven't told Python that I actually want stripes to run. I've just created all of the code that stripes needs in order to function, but I haven't actually told it to run yet. So let's break out of our function and let's call stripes. Then let's run it. Uh-oh. I called stripe, not stripes. That was a legitimate mistake. The other one I planned on. That one I didn't. All right, so let's run it. There we go. Now we get a stripe going across the entire top of the screen. Beautiful. Next, we need to put the rest of the stripes in. So let's talk about how to do that. Well, this is to create a rectangle. So if I did that, let's say 7 times, because I have 7 red stripes, then that should work, right? So let's do it. Let's do that. So I'm going to, after I go to the top, let's create another for loop, for I in range 7. And then I'm just going to, indent all of that so it's inside of that for loop. So 7 times we'll do this. Let's try it. And it didn't work. Why? Well, if we take a look here, what we're doing is we're saying for seven times, I want to do this. I want to create my rectangle, boom, 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 boom. And then, so that's 1. So the next one, we'll create another rectangle, boom, 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 boom. And then another one, and then another one, and another. We're creating a bunch of rectangles, but they're on top of each other. We're not actually pushing down. So we need to be able to, we need to tell our program that, yes, do this, but then after that, we want to go down a little bit so we can do it again, and the next rectangle gets drawn in the next spot. So after my end fill, if we remember, our turtle is going to be facing to the right. We actually want it facing down so we can go down. So let's do, T dot right, 90 degrees. Then let's go down. Let's go down far enough so that we pass through this stripe, but we also pass through the white stripe as well, because we don't need to draw a white stripe. We're trying to draw a red stripe. So let's go past this and get down to the beginning of this next red stripe. So to do that, notice that our first red stripe is 38 pixels tall. So if we just multiply 38 times 2, so 38 times 2, we get 76. So if we go down 76, so forward 76, okay, should be good. And we actually need to face toward the right in order for this code to work properly to create our rectangle. So we're already facing down. Let's do left. Let's face toward the left, and we'll go left 90 degrees. Okay, so now this should create our 13 stripes actually. Ooh, hold on. I did something wrong here. Oh, I wrote FT instead of LT. I want to go to the left. There we go. And there we go. We get a beautiful field of red and white stripes. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Okay, that's step 1 done. Next step is to get the blue field going. So let's talk about the blue field. We can just draw it directly on top of the stripes, but we have to figure out exactly how far to put this thing in, or how to place this exactly in our composition. So we're going to start on the top. We want to go forward. Notice that we're not going all the way halfway, but we're not going a third of the way either. We're kind of going 40% of the way. And then we're turning, and we're going to go down far enough to cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stripes. So we need to know that to know exactly how to tell our blue field how big to be. All right, let's do this in a function. So we're going to create a new function, def, and we'll call it blue. Okay, and so in my blue function, let me add some space here so it's easier to see. So in my blue function, first let's change the color to blue. Now again, just like with our red, our American flag is not an exact blue. It's a different color of blue. For this specifically, it is 002164. That is the hex code for that specific blue. Okay, we want to go to the top. So that is -500 by 250. Okay, now let's begin our fill. So begin fill. And let's create a loop for I in range, and it's going to be 2 because we're creating a rectangle. The first thing we want to do is go roughly 40% of the way across the screen. I know just from testing this out before, if we do 40%, it's not going to be what we want. Let's do 390. So it's not quite 40%, it's just shy of 40%. So we'll do T dot forward 390. That's going to make it look nice when we put our stars in there. Then we need to face to the right by 90 degrees, blah, 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 or we need to turn right by 90 degrees. And we need to go T dot forward. And this time we want to figure out how, so we're going to cover 5 of these, right? One of our stripes is 38, right? So all we need to do is 38 times 5, and that gives us 190. 190. Let's see if that looks the way we want it to look. So 190. I feel like the math is off on this, but we'll see what happens when we're done. Okay. And then let's turn right 90 and then do it all over again. Okay. Let's end our fill. And let's run it. Oh, let's not forget to call our function. Then let's run it. Oh, okay. So, I see what happened. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We actually need 7. I multiplied it by 5 instead of 7. I don't know why I did 5. Because I was probably just counting the red stripes. That's what it was. So yeah, 38 times 7 is what I need. So 38 times 7, 266. So instead of 190, it'll be 266. Now let's run it. Ah, that's what I want. That looks fantastic. Look, it's already looking like an American flag. Beautiful. The last thing we need to do now is we need to get the field of stars in our flag. And if we take a look at our example here from Wikipedia, notice that the stars, let me try to organize this a little bit so it looks nice. Notice that the stars have two different kinds of rows, right? So we have a star row of 6. So we have a row of 6 stars. Then we have a row of 5 stars that's offset just a little bit. And then 6 and 5, 6 and 5, 6 and 5 with a final row of 6. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's think it through. First thing I probably want to do is create a function that will draw a star. And then once that function's done, I can create a function that will use a loop to draw a row of stars. And then I can use another function and another loop to create to generate all the rows that I need. So to create the 6 or whatever rows I need of stars. Okay, so let's see. First things first, let's just make a star, okay? Now, the problem that we've run into with the stars that we've tried to create in the past is when we draw a star, if I were to draw a star, I'm not going to do it now, but the way we've been doing it, the middle doesn't get filled in. So here's how to draw a star with the middle being filled in. So what we can do is, instead of going across, over, up, bop, bop, what we can do is we can go up, turn, go up, turn, go down, turn, go over, turn, right? We have to outline the shape. Then this middle will be filled in properly. Luckily, we can use a loop to do that, so it's not actually going to be super complicated. First, let's change our color to white. Then let's begin our fill. Then let's create our loop. So for I in range, we're going to loop this 5 times. So we're going to go t dot forward. I'm going to go forward 10. So these are going to be, we want the stars to be the right size. So let's try 10 and see if that works. And then t dot left, because I have to turn to the left by 72 degrees. Okay. Then t dot forward by 10. Then t dot right 144 degrees. Okay. We're going to do that 5 times. That's how we outline our star shape. T dot end fill to finish off our function. So now we can draw a star. Let's see what star looks like. Stripes, ooh, we can't actually see it. Oh, turtle object has no LF. Oh, LT, not LF, left. All right, let's run it again. Okay, so it looks, it made it, but it's kind of up in the corner. Let's push it down a little bit. Let's go t dot go to negative, I don't know, 450 and positive 150. Sure. Just put it somewhere we can see it. Oh, great. Look at that. So we have a nice looking star, and it's pretty much the size we want. We could probably play around with the size later if we really care, but it should fit. Now, this star by itself is great, but we need to create a row of them, okay? So we're not going to call the star. Let's create a new function that will create a row of stars. All right. Now the thing is, our star rows there are two different star rows. We have one that's 6 and one that's 5. So we have a row of 6 and a row of 5. So what we can do is we can modify this function so that it takes in, let's say count, or we can do, count, or we can do like star count or whatever variable we want to call it. And what we can do is we can loop the creation of our stars for I in range. Instead of putting in a hard number here, we can say count. Okay, so that way we can loop our stars or creating stars by a certain amount. So let's create a star. So we'll call the star function, which will create a star. And then we need to move out of the way so that the next star we create doesn't get put right on top of it. So let's say t dot forward, and trust me on this one, let's go 66. This is going to create a nicely spaced field of stars. Now I can put this, let's say t dot go to. Let's figure out where we want this to go. All right, so we want it to be, there we go. We want it to be, let's maximize this a bit. Okay. So it's not exactly, notice that there's some buffer here, right? So we want some space between the edge and when our first star gets created, okay? So let's go to, let's remove 20 from the X and the Y. So let's go to, instead of negative 500, it'll be negative 480. And instead of positive 250, it'll be positive 230. Okay. And then let's create a row, and let's create a 6-star row from there. Oh, look at that. Oh man, that looks great. So we have a row of 6 stars. They fit perfectly within this field. That looks awesome. Okay, good. Now all we need to do is we need to create a function that is going to draw our field of stars. So let's create a function, def, we'll call it star field, okay, which is not as good of a game as I wished it was going to be. But anyway, star field, and let's see, let's count. So I'm probably gonna draw one row and then go down and draw the next row, and then I'll loop these 2 rows together. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 of those, and then we can draw one final row of 6. So let's create a loop that is, so let's say 4 I in range, and 4 times. We're going to do this 4 times. Let's create a row of 6. Then let's go down to the next row. But the problem is, to go down to the next row, it's going to be like 5 or 6 lines of code because we've got to position properly and everything else. Let's create a new function for that. Def, and we'll say next row. So the next row is going to say, T right, so let's turn 90 degrees to the right. Let's t dot forward by 27. So what we're doing here is we're saying at the end of drawing this row, we're going to be pushed out by about 66 from the end. We're going to turn to the right, so we're facing down. We'll go down 27. Okay. Then t dot right 90 degrees, so we're now facing to the left. T dot forward 63. So these are the numbers that I've been playing around with to make it perfect. 363. So we're going to go all the way across. T dot right by 180. So we're turning all the way around because we want to face to the right when we create our next row. So in here we can say, once we create a row of 6, we'll say next row, and then we'll create a row of 5, and then next row. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do is just create one final row of 6 stars, and once we've done that, all we have to do is call star field. So we can call stripes, our blue field, star field, and we should, ladies and gentlemen, have an American flag once we hit this run button. Let's see what we get. Uh-oh. We have an error. All right, so it says turtle object has no attribute RD on line 63. Oh, supposed to be forward, not RD. All right, so FD. Oh my gosh. All right, so we get our stripes, we get our field. All right, perfect. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, it's doing it. It's doing it. All right, is it going to look good when it's done? Let's figure it out. Let's see. Okay, one more row. Boom, there it is. Look at that flag. But we want to hide our turtle. So let's go ahead and do that. So t dot hide turtle. All right, let's look at this code. So we've created a bunch of different functions. We have a function to create our stripes, a function to create the blue field, a function to create an individual star, a function to create a row of stars. Then we have our star field function, which will create our entire field, calling the row function that we created, which, by the way, the row function calls the star function we created. And we're also calling the next row function in star field, which is all the code that puts us in the right spot to start drawing the next row. Man, all right. One more time, let's run it, and this time the turtle should hide and we should get a really nice picture of the American flag. Ah, beautiful. Look at that. Let's pull in our reference image as well and see how closely we modeled it. All right, let's see. We'll get there, and then we'll put that right. Oh my gosh, that's pretty spot on. Look at that. All just by writing lines of code, all by just writing instructions to the screen. We've created an amazing looking American flag. So go ahead and pop a salute real quick, and then take a screenshot of your American flag and then turn in your code. And I will see you next time. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.